The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar on managing your charity in the ACNC Charity Portal. I'm Sam Laurie, I'm the Manager of Guidance and Education at the ACNC and I'll be moderating today's session. As you would know, the ACNC Charity Portal is a secure website where you can update your charity's information and submit your annual information statement. Today we'll do a practical demonstration of the various functions of the Charity Portal, assuming that you have limited experience. Then we'll show you how the information appears on the ACNC's public register of charities. If you have any difficulties with the sound on your computer during the session, you can call the phone number listed in the GoToWebinar panel on your screen. You will have been given an access code when you joined the webinar. You can also ask us a question or make a comment at any time in the same panel. We'll respond to all attendees when answering questions. If there are any questions we can't get to today, we'll provide answers later, and a recording of this webinar will be available on the ACNC's webinars page at www.acnc.gov.au/webinars. While this webinar focuses on using the ACNC Charity Portal, it gives you some tips on how to log in and update information. If you do have specific questions about your charity, we refer you to our Advice Services team, which can be contacted on 132262, weekdays between 9 AM and 6 PM, Australian Eastern Standard Time, or by email at advice@acnc.gov.au. Finally, we value any suggestions you have to improve our webinars, so please pass on your comments in the survey that will pop up at the end of this session. Today we'll run through the key things you need to know to manage your charity's obligations in the portal. We'll cover locating the charity portal on the ACNC website, requesting a password online if you need to reset your password, how to log in and view alerts in the charity portal, how to navigate the charity portal, how to update your charity's address for service, responsible persons and governing document, and how to access the annual information statement. We hope you find this webinar helpful and that it will make reporting to the ACNC an easier and quicker process. I would now like to introduce my ACNC colleagues who will be presenting the webinar and responding to questions. Anne from our Advice Services team will be demonstrating and guiding you through the use of the portal. Hi Anne.
Hi everyone.
Beth, also from our Advice Services team, will be responding to any questions you have throughout the session. Hi Beth.
Hello.
And Tash from our legal team will provide technical advice and support Beth with any queries. Hi Tash.
Hi.
I'll now hand over to Anne and Beth.
Hi everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this webinar. I've been in the ACNC Advice Services team for just over 3 years now, while Beth has been with us for a year. The Advice Services team responds to a wide range of questions that come into the ACNC, either by telephone, email or post. My colleagues and I take a lot of calls from charities who need help with navigating the portal, and today we hope to provide information on some common areas charities need help with. We also plan to provide tips that will make using the portal a little bit easier. You will find that the more you use the portal, the easier it becomes. And remember that if you get stuck, you can call us or email us and we will help you through it. So the first thing we will do is locate the charity portal. The best place to start is on our website, which is at acnc.gov.au. So you can either go via Submit the AIS, here on the right hand side, or the most common way is to click the Portal tab. By clicking on the tab, you'll be taken directly to an assistance page. This explains how to download and update a browser if you're having trouble loading the portal. So selecting the right browser for the portal. If you experience issues with the portal, we recommend you update your internet browser. So this is the software that allows you to search and access the internet. We recommend that you not use Internet Explorer. The portal doesn't work as well with this browser, and we're aware that Microsoft may not offer support for this browser in the future. You can install either of the free browsers, Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, by clicking on the relevant link on this page. This will install some software on your computer, so make sure you have the authority to do so. Your charity's IT person may need to authorise the download if you're using your charity's computer. So we'll proceed through logging to the Charity Portal now. This takes you to the Charity Portal landing page. We suggest bookmarking this page so you can always find it easily. I'm using Google Chrome, so I would do this by clicking on the star button here. To log in, you will need your username, which is your charity's ABN, and your password. There's also some helpful links at the bottom of the page if you're having some trouble logging in. We get many queries from charities that have lost their password. I will now go through the reset password function. So by clicking on the link here, you'll be taken to a new page that asks for your charity's ABN. If you're unsure of your ABN, there is a link to the ABN Lookup Register here where you can look it up. Once you enter the ABN, I'm just going to pop one in now. Pop that in and I click on find, and I've left a number out which is helpful. Click on find again. So a confirmation screen appears that has the name of the charity and also the address for service. So for this charity that we've created, it's an email address. As both of these details are correct, I will now click on Next. It's important to note that if we have an email address, we will send the password to that email address. If not, and it's a postal address, the details will be sent to the postal address. If you do have a postal address, please be mindful of Australia Post delivery times. This will take approximately a week to arrive. Please do not complete another reset request within this time, as it will mean that you receive an outdated password when the first letter arrives.
By clicking on Next, we'll then be directed to a declaration page. You'll have noticed that Anne has been filling in details as we've gone along. Please note, for today's session we've created some fictitious charities so that we can demonstrate the portal functions. Please note that the address here isn't where your login details will be sent. They'll be sent to the address for service. You provide this information should we need to contact you at a later stage.
So now I've entered my details and I'm declaring that I'm authorised to access this information for the charity and the information I've provided is true and correct. I'll pop in my position. For today's purposes, I'll be a treasurer, and this would make me a responsible person. I now click on the Next button. So it's now saying a new password will be sent to the address for service, which was the email address we could see, after I press Next. You'll note that I can also select to have the password sent to another email address. If I say yes here, I will enter the email address and I'll be asked to answer some security questions. Once I've done this and submitted it, the login details will be sent to both the address for service and the alternative email address I've provided. If I select no, those options disappear and I simply select Next And now we can see that my request has been processed. So that's how you get an updated password. Okay, so now that we've got our new password, we can click on the portal link through the website or go back to this spot here. We should read the terms of use, which are located here on the left-hand side, and accept them by clicking on that radio button. Now I'm going to enter an ABN and a password so we can get in.
As Anne mentioned before, your username is the charity's ABN and the unique password is at least 9 characters long with a capital letter, a number and a character.
So I click on sign in. So once you've logged in, you will see your charity's name in the top right-hand corner of the page, just under the logout button. And as you can see, the landing page has a lot of options of things that you can do. We have a list of functions on the left-hand side, starting with submit annual information statement, change charity details, and change responsible person. These three are the most common things that you'll do in the portal, which is why they're so prominent. So next to these, more centrally, you'll see a list of alerts that are specific for your charity. So for this charity that we've created today, we can see that they need to submit their annual information statement for 2014. They're overdue with that. They also have a responsible persons alert. Just so you know, this alert is present for all charities at all times. It never goes away. It's there as a reminder to make sure that the information is up to date at all times. And you can also see for this charity, they've been approved to report on a different financial year to your standard financial year. You can see here that it ends on the 31st of the 12th. You may also have an alert to add your governing document. We'll come back to this in a moment. Below the alerts panel is useful information for the charity. This changes from time to time. At the moment, it has some information about when the 2015 annual information statement will be available. As you can see, we anticipate that in the next few weeks. For those who have not completed any previous annual information statements, you can either click on Submit Annual Information Statement here or in the link in your alert. You can find plenty of guidance on our website about completing the annual information statement under Manage My Charity and Report Annually. You can see there's different pages for different charity sizes. So if we click through on Submit Annual Information Statement, you'll see on the landing page here that there's some information about the 2015 statement, but also here it's showing that our 2014 is overdue and we need to get cracking on that. So by clicking on that button, it would take us into the statement and we can then submit from there. We'll also be running a webinar later this year on what's new in the 2015 Annual Information Statement. You can register for that webinar now at the webinar link that Sam previously provided, or via the website under Manage My Charities. Scroll down in this menu, Tools and Resources, Webinars. So the first thing we're going to show you how to do is to update your governing document. A charity's governing document is the formal document that includes its purpose or purposes, activities and organisational processes. Examples include trust deeds, constitutions, articles of association, rules, rule books and charters. You can add the governing document via Change Charity Details or by the link in the alert if you have an alert. To find out more about governing documents, you can view our fact sheet, which is available on our website under Publications and Fact Sheets. This particular one is right near the top, it's the second one there. So once you've clicked on the Change Charity Detail tab, you'll see that there's a number of options that you can do in here. What we're after is to change my governing documents. So this page advises us the legal name of the charity and that we do not currently have a governing document uploaded. So to fix this, we click on Make a Change to your legal name and or governing documents. Okay. So for the purposes of this experience, we'll answer yes and no to some of these questions. So we're going to say that our legal name has not changed, so that we can leave that as no. The text box here says if you've changed your governing documents, you must provide an explanation of what has been changed and a full copy of the new documents. So it's not sufficient just to supply a copy of a resolution that you may have passed. It must be included in the entire document. So we will say that it's the first time we're sending our documents to the ACNC, and we'll say that they have changed. You could also say no, as you could see here, and that would change the text box that's available. But we're going to say yes. Sorry, it disappeared from me here. Now my text box is back. So here would be your brief explanation of the changes. We're going to say that we only have the one governing document. Most charities will only have one. So now to upload the file, we go to the Choose File option and we find it on our computer. We have some test rules we're going to upload. Now that I've found the file, I must attach it to the submission by clicking on the Attach button. It will just take a moment. So it's now refreshed itself, and we will now have the option to either view the document we've uploaded or remove it. This is how you know that you've successfully attached it to your submission. You'll note here there's a question about personal information being removed from the files. Most governing documents will not have personal information, but some will. So we ask that you remove that information because we do publish it on the ACNC register. So now that we've successfully done that, we must click on the Submit button. And you can see that we're taken to a page which says Success, and that we've updated the legal name and all the governing documents. So this is how we know that it's actually worked. So the next thing we're going to do is show you how to update your address for service. An address for service is the address that the ACNC uses to contact your charity. In most cases, it can be an email address, although if you are a company, it will need to be a physical address to comply with ASIC requirements. As you'll see, there's never an alert about address for service, but it is extremely important that it remains up to date. This allows us to contact your charity, for example, to remind you to submit your annual information statement prior to its due date, or also send you passwords via email. As you may have noticed before, the address for service is also updated by going to the Change Charity Details tab. And we click on Change My Address for Service. So as you can see in the text box here, this address is published on the ACNC register. Please note that while we ask for a name of a person associated with this address, that name is not published on the ACNC register. So now we're going to update this information by clicking on Make a Change to Your Address for Service. And now we have a new screen where I'm going to enter in the new information. It will ask you for a date that this has changed. You will note that this date is showing in American format. We get a lot of questions about this. The date in your browser will be determined by your browser. It's not a setting of our portal. To fix it, you select that your browser settings are English rather than American. So now that I've entered in the address, I'll need to enter the name that goes along with that. So that'll be me for today. You'll note that some of these fields have a red asterisk. This means that they are the mandatory fields that must be provided. So you'll note that date of birth or another given name is not mandatory, but it does help us to complete proof of identity if we're talking to you. Okay, so once I've entered in all those details, I'll click Submit. You'll notice that I've now got some red writing here. It means that I've left out the area code. If there's anything wrong with the information you've provided, if something doesn't make sense, you will get a red note next to it. So again, we've got our success page and we've updated our responsible persons. The next thing we'll do is we're going to add or remove responsible persons. One of our common queries is how do we update our committee, directors or board members. We call these people responsible persons. I'm going to show you how to add and remove and also update the position the responsible person holds. From the portal homepage you can see change responsible person on the left in green.
You'll notice when we look at the responsible persons listed for the charity, you cannot see the contact information or the dates of birth for the current members. This is because our privacy and secrecy requirements don't allow us to make personal information available through the portal, as many people at a charity may have access to the login details. However, adding responsible persons, when adding responsible persons, you need to know their personal information, and to change their details, you need to let us know by phone or email.
Please be aware that all the responsible persons listed display on the ACNC register, except those that have a withholding application in progress or if the application has been approved. So to go through to add a new responsible person to our record, we click on Add Responsible Person now. You'll see that there's some help and guidance. I won't run through all that now, but you can read it if you wish. And again, we click on Add Responsible Persons now. So from this page, you may need to scroll a bit further. We need to click on Add New Record. Again, you're only required to enter information in each field that's marked with a red asterisk.
We ask for the details of your charity's responsible persons for a few reasons. Firstly, because there are around 54,000 charities registered with the ACNC, so we need to be able to distinguish all 200,000 plus responsible persons from each other. Secondly, we need proof of identity when dealing with someone who's acting on behalf of the charity. This is also important to help you to get your password reset to get into the charity portal.
So once you've entered the details you need to enter, you can click either Save if you're just adding one record, or Save a New if you have multiple entries to make. We're just adding one for today, so I will click Save. You can see I've missed a number of mandatory fields here. You can see that these are the errors are telling me everything that I've missed and haven't filled in. So it's very, very clear if there's something that you've missed as to what you need to fix. I'll just fix all these now. asking me here what position I hold and what date the change has occurred. We will say today again. It's also asking if I want the details withheld from the register. I will say no for these purposes. If you were saying yes, you would need to explain why in this text box. Now there's also another question here which says, have you searched the ASIC register of banned or disqualified persons for the name of this responsible person? Now, while this isn't a mandatory requirement that you do search it, it is very good governance to do so, and we recommend that you do incorporate this into your processes. Okay, there's also some questions about cultural and language diversity. For these purposes, we'll say no. We'll go through some English. Going to phone. And I'll hit save again. So now it's updated by putting me here. If I'd added multiple records, all would be listed here. This is the step that most people miss. From here to submit it through to our systems, I need to scroll down and hit the submit button. If you do not click on this submit, the change will not happen, and it also means that all the details you've entered will eventually be out of the system as well. Submitting it through means it gets through to our systems and it will be published onto the ACNC register. So hit submit. And again, back to my success page, which means that it's gone through to our system. I'm now going to show you some other functions for responsible persons. Just taking a moment to go back to the home page. Okay, here we go. I'll go back in to change responsible persons, and you can see that my name is now listed with Sam and Beth's as responsible persons on the register. The edit function relates only to the position held and is a relatively new function that we've added following feedback from charities. It is straightforward and will help you when members of your committee or board change their role, for example from treasurer to secretary. You will notice that the remove or edit position link is on the line after each entry. To change the position of a responsible person, we will click on Edit Position. This will take us to a new screen, and the only fields we need to fill in are what's the person's new position. So we'll change Sam to be the President, and on what date did this person start acting in the new position. So we will say as of today, and submit. You will now see that Sam is now the President according to our records. The process to remove a responsible person is very similar. For today's purposes, we'll remove Beth. And again, the only thing we need to do is enter the date that she ceased to be a responsible person. We'll hit submit. Now you can see that Beth is no longer listed. So now that we've made all of these changes, we can check that they've gone through to our records. You can check your public information either by clicking on View Charity Entry on ACNC Register in the portal, or by searching the public register under Find a Charity. You can see here we've entered in the charity's ABN and it's brought up a record for us. By clicking on the blue link, it will take us to the record. This does take a moment to open. While we're waiting for it, Beth, have you had any queries you'd like us to mention?
Yeah, we've had a few questions about withholding that we mentioned a couple of times during the presentation, and just exactly what that is. So part of our role as the National Regulator of Charities is to increase public confidence in the sector. One of the ways that we do this is by having the charity register that you'll see on the screen. where there's publicly available information about charities that are registered, including their charity's name, their ABN, their responsible persons, their annual information statements and financial information. Not all of the information that is provided is publicly available. We won't publish personal information about your responsible persons, like their dates of birth or addresses. Only their name and position title will be public. We do understand that sometimes it may not be appropriate for all this information to be publicly available for some charities. So in limited circumstances, we can withhold a charity's information from the register. The reasons we can withhold information is if the information is commercially sensitive and publication could cause harm to the charity or a person, if it is inaccurate or likely to confuse or mislead, if it is offensive, if it could endanger public safety, or if it's otherwise covered by ACNC regulations. It's important to note that we can only approve a withholding request if the grounds for the request fit into the categories I just listed. So for example, if a domestic violence centre had its business address publicly available, this would pose a significant risk to the safety of its beneficiaries, and we would likely be able to withhold that information from the public record. To apply for withholding, from the portal homepage, on the left-hand menu, select Apply to Withhold Information, and then when that page loads, select the grey button that says Apply to Withhold Information. We'll ask you to specify what information you would like to be withheld, the reason why, and to provide any supporting information. Be aware that when you submit a withholding request, until we have had the chance to assess it and make a decision, your entire charity record will be removed from public view. So if somebody is searching for your organisation on their charity register, they won't be able to find any record until we've been able to review that request. Thanks, Anne.
Thanks for that, Beth. So while Beth was telling us about that, our charity record has loaded, and we can see that we've updated our charity's address for service. That was the address that I popped in. Further down on the right-hand side, we've added a governing document, and you can see in the responsible persons, I am now listed, Sam is listed as the president, and Beth is no longer listed on the record. So that's another way to check that everything that you've updated in the portal has gone through to our records as it should.
Thanks, Anne and Beth and Tash. So to summarise, the main things to keep in mind when using the ACNC Charity Portal to manage your charity are: when you log in, your username is your charity's ABN. Your password is at least 9 characters. It includes a capital letter, a number and a character. When logged in, you should check the alert panel. You can use the Charity Portal to update responsible person's details, update your governing documents, update your address for service, and submit your annual information statement. Make sure that you save often and use the Submit button to process the update. There's often a short delay between uploading information and it publishing. We've put up a list of friendly URLs to some of the most used content and most useful guidance content on the website. We'll be sending out a copy of the presentation, and it will be published on the ACNC website, so you'll be able to access these links as well. And just a reminder that our next webinar is on the ACNC governance standards, and the one following that is a session welcoming new board members. So that brings us to the end of our session today. We will keep the chat option open for a while if you've got any questions that have come up for you, and we can reply to those. Any that we don't get to today we can answer via follow-up email. Just remember that you can keep in touch with us to stay up to date with any changes or new developments in a few ways. You can take a look at our Commissioners column, sign up for email updates, and we also send out a quarterly update. Have a look at our web guidance on our website. Call 13 ACNC 132262, as I said before, between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Email our advice team at advice@acnc.gov.au. They're always very happy to answer your questions. And you can also connect with us through social media and have a look at our YouTube channel, which is where we host all of the ACNC webinar videos. As we mentioned at the start, we'd appreciate any feedback you have in the exit survey at the end of the webinar. We'll also email you once the link to this recorded webinar is online. Like I said, we'll stay online for a while to answer your questions. Thanks again to Anne, Beth and Tash. We'll see you next time.